So, what I plan on addressing today is kind of a really interesting topic. To some people that may watch this video, hopefully it gets to somebody that really needs it. But anybody interested in this topic, or anybody looking for some answers to chronic anxiety or chronic pain, or it can manifest into various different physical and mental problems. But I'm going to be talking about hyperventilation syndrome, hyperventilation, chronic anxiety, my personal experiences, and then also the research that I've done and what I've found on it. So in some of my other videos, I talked about how I've experienced on and off, but typically the last 4 years, consistent anxiety day to day. And for the first couple years, I thought it was just bad anxiety, and I thought by fixing the way that I thought and felt about the situation was going to improve it. But I think what I ended up discovering was that my mental issue became a physical issue, and it really manifested its problems in the form of difficulty breathing. I realized that I had done all these things, switching medication, talking with friends and family, increasing dosages of medication, working out, I trying to be more social. I did all of these things that typically one would do in order to try to help treat anxiety. And I just wasn't getting the kind of results and seeing the kind of success that I wanted to. And I just kept feeling terrible, feeling constantly short of breath, incredibly difficult to concentrate, incredibly difficult to relax. Just not myself at all. And I started doing a bunch of research and came across something called chronic hyperventilation syndrome, or hyperventilation syndrome. And my own personal experiences with it have been a day-to-day shortness of breath. So just no matter what you do, you feel like you're not getting enough air. You know you're breathing hard, you're breathing fast, you're oftentimes breathing harder and faster than you even know you are. You don't feel the process of breathing like you normally do. It's higher up in your chest rather than low into the stomach diaphragm region where it's supposed to be. For anybody that doesn't really know about the basics of breathing and respiration and how it's supposed to work, your main muscle of respiration is your diaphragm. And your diaphragm is a thin muscle that's in a dome shape that connects to the bottom of your lungs and lines the inside of your ribs. And it has attachment points all along the inside of your ribs and is kind of glued to the bottom of your lungs. So your lungs can't properly inflate and deflate without proper rib movement and especially proper diaphragm movement. Proper diaphragm movement, what it's supposed to do is when you are inhaling, it's supposed to lower the dome. This is the dome, this diaphragm. It's supposed to lower, push down on your organs and your lungs expand outward and down. And actually the bottom part of your lungs is where the most oxygen transportation occurs. From what I understand, and I mean I could be wrong on some of this, I'm kind of piecing together a year or so of information from the web and stuff. Like I said, what it's supposed to do is contract down. And as it contracts down, you create more room in your lungs open up, your diaphragm lowers, your organs get pushed down. So a lot of people that you might hear the term belly breathing, you might hear the term abdominal breathing. Basically what that means is getting your breath low, making sure your diaphragm contracts downwards and into your stomach, rather than high up in your chest. And the two reasons why this is important is because there's two branches of the nervous system. And for some of you guys, this may just be repeat information. If it is, sorry you have to hear it again. You may know a ton about it, but for those people that don't, two branches of your nervous system. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Parasympathetic nervous system is the one that slows you down. It's termed the rest and digest. So basically, it is the branch that calms you down, calms your heart rate down, calms your rate of respiration down. With that comes a clearer mind, more peaceful mind. You get more activation in your frontal lobe. And anybody that knows about brain and brain physiology, the frontal lobe deals a lot with positive emotions, senses of well-being, pro-social, and then your other parts of your brain, when you're breathing high up in your chest, activate your sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight. So it's that nice, anxious feeling that you get, the tingliness, the sense of fear and hesitation, and it's really, when you feel it in short bursts, not a big deal, but when it's constant and all the time, it's really, really shitty, and it can be very, very destructive to your sense of well-being, your sense of yourself, your sense of calm, the way you handle things, and it can be very much so a snowball effect. So for me personally, that's what's happened. I know that something has been wrong for a while, and I feel like my best efforts on how I knew how to handle it were just not getting it done. I would constantly feel tightness in my ribs, tightness in my abs. I knew I was breathing high up in my chest. I could feel it. I was breathing rapid. I was breathing fast. And I didn't know why. And so I would mentally try to do different things, try to calm myself down, try to relax certain muscle groups, not go into public situations very much, remove myself from a lot of things. And I had mixed results, but never really felt the kind of calm and peace that I know is in me, and that I know that I really need. So I just want to share this video because I've started to do a couple of things, and I've started to realize there's a couple things that I think are really important for somebody that deals with chronic hyperventilation or chronic anxiety. If you think you have chronic anxiety and what you've done hasn't really worked, whether it's medication, therapy, whatever, you may really want to look into your breathing. Because I'm really convinced that with calm breath comes calm mind. And I feel like it's very much so a positive and negative feedback loop. So one thing that I discovered some time back was something called the Alexander technique. And it's actually pretty simple when you think about it. There's not much science behind it, but it's basically posture related. It's saying that from chronic stress, chronic anxiety, we've developed muscular skeletal habits of crunching down, poor posture, not lengthening the spine, hunching over in our chairs, things that compress our respiration, compress our diaphragm, don't allow for the full movement, don't allow for the full respiration, and that basically can become its own habit of where you're breathing too fast, breathing too heavy, restricted breathing, not getting full breaths, and I know that's definitely what's happened to me. But over the last couple of days, I've done a couple of things. Taken muscle relaxers. Somas for me work really, really well. I've done, I got some kava root. For those of you that don't know, kava is a natural sedative. It's not incredibly strong, but it's a natural sedative that you can buy at probably most health food stores. I got it at Sprouts. Sprouts is a California grocery store. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but Trader Joe's, I don't know, whoever watches this, wherever you guys are at, if you know of a Trader Joe's or a Sprouts near you, those are places that you can get it, but it's safe from what I know of, FDA approved, for what that's worth. But it slows you down a little bit, slows your breathing, slows your mind, relaxes you. But I want to really focus on the Alexander technique. And again, it's postural adjustments. So oftentimes we don't even realize our posture. We don't even think about it. It just becomes something that's ingrained. It's something that is muscularly learned, and it's reinforced by our unawareness. But if you can be aware of, for a little bit, of how you're sitting, then you might be able to make adjustments that can assist with your breathing. So if you constantly feel restricted breathing, you're not getting enough breath, you're breathing hard, you're breathing fast, this technique may help you. What you're going to want to do is here, I'm going to get up real quick because I'm actually sitting in a chair that works perfectly for me, and I'll show you. This is on my computer, so sorry if this is all jumbled around a little bit, but you're going to want to find a flat chair. Mine's metal. I mean, obviously yours doesn't have to be metal. It can be something more comfortable. For the longest time, I kept sitting in a recliner, and I really don't think that was working for me at all. Because once I started switching over to this chair, my breathing has gotten a lot better. So I'm going to show you the chair that I'm sitting in real quick. So just your standard, let's see if I can get it. Just your standard metal chair. There's nothing fantastic about it. It's not super comfortable, but if you sit in it right, it really doesn't matter, because what you're going to want to focus on is your breathing. What you're going to want to do is, first thing is, it makes it a little difficult with the way that I'm filming this, but if you can get a mental image, that'd be great. If you can't, you can look up Alexander technique. There's all kinds of good YouTube videos that talk about it. But the whole idea is lengthening your spine and creating room for your diaphragm and your rib cage to move freely. Because what can happen with chronic hyperventilation syndrome is your lungs become overinflated due to restriction in these muscles, due to chronic fast breathing. But once you can loosen your diaphragm a little bit from your ribs so that it can move more freely and get more full respirations, you should be able to calm yourself down a little bit. Like I said, you can YouTube the videos, but the whole idea is sitting up straight. You want your butt to be firmly planted in the chair and back. You basically want to lift your chin so it's on an even level, so your eyes are on an even level. If you imagine a rod or a line going through both ears, doesn't have to be perfect. You'll be able to feel it with your own body. You should be able to feel what feels best for you. You don't want to be completely rigid and straight back, because then that's going to restrict the front of your ribs. But you want your shoulders to basically be stacked and lined up with your hips. And that will allow your ribs, your diaphragm, and your pelvic floor, which is a muscle sheet, I believe. I don't really know too much about it, but I believe it's a muscle sheet bottom of your pelvis. And these three things really help contribute to respiration. So you want your head up, and you want to be trying to look straight. If you look down, what you do is you're shortening the muscles in the front, which restricts the abs, restricts the diaphragm. If you're looking too far up, you're compressing the rib cage. So like I said, you should be able to feel what feels good for you, what feels right. You're probably also going to want to go to YouTube and look up the actual Alexander technique. But I feel like once you do this, you may start feeling a little bit of relief. And once you start feeling a little bit of relief, you may not feel so trapped, and you may not feel so stuck. So once again, just to reiterate, for anybody that's dealing with chronic anxiety, is really, really not sure how to deal with it, or has had many failed attempts with therapy, medication, or whatever, breathing may be something you want to look at and assess your own breathing. When you get in a chronic state of anxiety, it's so much more hard to tell quality of your breathing because you're numb. your body's much more numb due to all the adrenaline, due to all the sympathetic nervous system activation. Um, Another thing that has worked really, really well for me too is quiet time, alone time. Not having anything that's stimulating, that's fighting for my attention. It's unfortunately kind of not necessarily hurt some of my friendships, but it's changed some of them. I have not been very social, but you know what? You really got to take care of yourself first. And it's said often, but it's so true. Um, you got to be happy with yourself first, or at least feel good, feel decent, feel comfortable in your own skin. Um, so I hope this video helped. I know it's a little bit long, but if you guys have any questions, if you want to leave any comments, please. Um, I hope this makes it out to some people that are really looking for some help. So take care. Thank you.